ever noticed how easy it is to spot an emotionally unfit leader? Think about it. They overreact, they withdraw, they sulk, maybe they take things personally, maybe they create and they spread tension. Perhaps they gossip about people. Emotional fitness is all about recognizing and recovering really fast from your emotions. It's about staying grounded. It's about choosing how to respond rather than to react, rather than being controlled by your emotions. Today, in Leadershipisation, all things leadership, I'm going to be talking about the inner workings of leadership. You know, that work that determines whether as a leader you create calm or whether you create chaos, particularly in situations where it matters the most. And this is one of 3 sessions that we're going to be doing in consecutive weeks that will just cover this topic because it's a really important one. Welcome. My name is Beth Bergen. I'm a global leadership and communication coach, and I help leaders refine their presence and their decision making so that their authority really amplifies their influence. And I'm here live every Tuesday at 1 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time. Or if you can't make it, then you can easily watch a replay. Now, let's get into it. Leadership involves a lot of inner work on your part so that you build the emotional fitness that's required to be an awesome leader, to be the leader that you want to be. So let's have a talk about that. I've got 4 topic areas that I want to talk into, and then as usual, I'll give you a couple of tools that you can apply straight away. So let's have a look, first of all, at this point. Emotional fitness is all about the regulation of your emotions, not just pushing them down. Yeah, it's not about that suppression. So it's all about feeling them and acknowledging them and dealing with them. Not feeling with them and drowning in them, feeling them, acknowledge, and deal with them. This isn't about your emotions leaking all over the place. So it's not about those gossiping or making comments about people or talking all the time about what your emotions are doing right now. What we know is that if you suppress your emotions all the time, over time, they will build up. And often, when you least expect it, they will explode. They will absolutely explode. And that will not look pretty, and it won't do anything to build your respect, your authority, your credibility, or your influence as a leader. That's why it's important for you to start addressing what's going on with my emotional fitness, what's going on with my mental fitness that will allow me to be the best leader that I can be. When you let loose, when you let all of those emotions go, you're also providing for others a picture of instability. Oh, they're having trouble regulating their emotions. We've noticed that. When you can get regulation happening, that's what happens. Let me say it differently. In order for you to begin to regulate your emotions, you need to be able to notice what's going on internally. You need to be able to notice, as we said before, to acknowledge it and to move on from it. And you need to do that before it controls or dictates your actions and your behavior. And this is really important. Regulation is about you making sure that you're on top of what's going on internally and that you can deal with that or manage it or regulate it before it just explodes. Because if it leaks out, it's not helpful. Your presence as a leader it's always much less about control. And it's more about self-leadership and that self-awareness in action. So that self-leadership is about the way that you lead yourself. And as we know, leading yourself, leading others, leading a team, leading others, leading leaders, and potentially leading a process or the organization. So those are the things that are really important under that point. The second point I want to share with you is this. Poor emotional regulation spreads really quickly. Now, I often, like at the bottom of my email, at the bottom of my email header or signature rather, it says passion is contagious. Not only is passion contagious, most every emotion is contagious. So remember that poor emotional regulation spreads really fast. And we've talked about this before. Your team will reflect your emotional state. And this happens really quickly. So if you're demonstrating anxiety or frustration or defensiveness, those negative emotions are likely to travel even faster than lots of energy and lots of passion, right? Because sometimes people are a little bit cynical about why is she so excited? Why is he so positive? But in this case, yeah, remember that those negative emotions like anxiety, frustration, anger, defensiveness, they will travel really fast and you set that emotional tone. So look out for that. Now, when you're emotionally fit, you develop and then you continue to protect trust. So you develop that trust and then you continue to protect it. You develop a safe environment for your people to be in and you continue to protect and promote that. And also, you're able to develop much more, a better quality in your decision making, even and especially when you're under pressure. So if you can have that really good emotional regulation, that's what it will contribute to. Now, the third area for us to look at is this. There is always, 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 always a cost to emotional fatigue. It shows up as I don't know, irritability. It shows up as cynicism. It shows up as avoidance. It shows up as numbness. Nothing seems to be hitting you. And often in leadership roles, this is mislabeled, I think is the best word here. It's mislabeled as stress or burnout. But more often than not, it's unprocessed emotion. So you're still holding on to all of that emotion because you haven't identified it or acknowledged it and then moved on from it. So all of that unprocessed emotion will stay in your system. And without it, even small challenges become really huge and really personal. They become really huge and really personal. Whereas fitness, your emotional or your mental fitness, that really creates resilience for you because it's not about avoiding anything. It's not about ignoring what those emotions are. As I said, it's about acknowledging and moving on from them. And so what you're actually able to do is to recover much quicker. And as a result of being able to recover quicker, you're getting that clarity. You're leading with calmness rather than chaos. Now, there's a lot that I do in my small group and one-on-one coaching around this whole concept of mental fitness. So it's well worth delving into, and has made a huge difference, not only in my life, but in the life of many of my clients, learning some strategies around that mental fitness. The fourth point I want to talk into is this one. Emotional fitness requires daily, deliberate work. Daily, deliberate work. Look, we're all emotional creatures. We simply are. We're meant to have emotions. And when you sit in a place where you're denying that all the time, you're actually disconnecting. And when you start to disconnect, you're sabotaging yourself. We do this disconnection often to protect ourselves. Well, if we're denying it, then there's no need for us to deal with it, is there? Success is on the other side of discomfort. Get used to being uncomfortable, because the self-awareness, that self-leadership that will underpin awesome leadership comes from actually examining these things. So when you've got that emotional and to build that emotional and that mental strength, you need to be looking at repetition, doing the things that are working over and over again. You also need to be looking at that reflection. How did that go? What happened? Could I have done that differently? And it's also about, in this reflection, being honest with yourself. Being honest with yourself, about others, and about the situation, without blaming, without judgment, but being actually honest enough to say, this is what's going on for me. I didn't handle that very well. See, it's not about perfection. It's not about an emotional perfection or a mental perfection. It's actually about recognizing, this is what I'm feeling right now, and having the strength, the mental strength, and the agility to shift somewhere else, to shift your thinking to a positive, to shift your thinking to a solution. Now, when I talk about when I talk about mental fitness or emotional fitness, this doesn't mean that you're always going to be calm, that you'll always be reasonable, that you'll always be in control of every situation. It can't possibly mean that, because we're human beings, and that would be really extraordinary for anybody to be in that state all the time. Even the most successful leaders get wobbly at times. So fit doesn't mean that you're always there. What it means is that you return to that positive space. You return to that problem solving much faster. So you've got an agility around that. Yeah. So let's look at some practical tools. I've got 2 practical tools here that you can start to use right away. The first one is this. It's a 90-second regulation reset. And this is about when emotion spikes, pause, take 3 slow breaths, and name the emotion. This is frustration. Or this is pressure. This is disappointment. This is anger. The reason it's important to name it is because that interrupts that whole hijacking thing that our emotions are doing, right? It it actually, because you say this is anger, it kind of, anger's speeding towards coming through your brain and showing up in whatever actions you're going to make and whatever it is that you're going to say. What it does is it actually interrupts that pattern and it restores choice to you. So, oh, this is anger. I'm choosing to be calm. I'm choosing to be non-judgmental, whatever it might be that follows that up. So use a positive word. I'm choosing calm. I'm choosing balance. I'm choosing insight. I'm choosing joy. Might be some of the words that you would use. Yeah. So quickly pause, 3 slow breaths, name the emotion. This is whatever it is. And then I choose and identify what it is that you choose using a positive word, not another negative emotion. That's the 90-second regulation reset. Now, the second tool I'd like to share with you today is an end of the day emotional debrief. Now, this isn't supposed to take half an hour, 2 minutes max. So this is you very quickly scanning through the day and asking yourself 3 questions. What emotion dominated my day? What emotion dominated my day? That's the first one. Second one is, where did I handle that well? So if frustration dominated your day, if you got cranky with people and that was the emotion that dominated your day, where did I handle it well? Where did it handle me is the third question. Like, I love that question because one of the things that we forget as human beings is that when we get all emotional, and we're struggling to handle it, the opposite of that is that the emotion is handling us. So the 3 questions again: what emotion dominated my day? Where did I handle it well? And where did it handle me? Now, what these 3 questions will do is they will build your emotional awareness without you overthinking, and that's why it's only 2 minutes. Yeah. And once you've got that emotional awareness and it's building up, that will really strengthen your ability to regulate those emotions, because your goal here is to get you back to that positive place really quickly, back to that place where you're calmer, you're breathing better, and you can look for possible solutions and possible lessons. Okay, let's have some other reflection questions for you to have a look at. And we've got 2 of these today. The first one is this: what emotions most often drive your leadership behavior under pressure? Now, under pressure is important here, because this is when we're likely to get triggered. If we just ask this question without under pressure in it, then you could easily be saying, oh yeah, well, I'm calm and I'm in control, I've got my act together. This is when you're under pressure. And then it goes on to say, and how aware of them are you in the moment? So and this is all about you recognizing, like I arrive at work feeling frustrated and I leave work feeling frustrated. However, I'm not actually aware of that in the moment. So it might be that your emotions are leaking out much more than you recognize. Yeah. So think about that. What emotions most often drive your leadership behavior under pressure, and how aware of them are you in the moment? The second reflection question for you, and remember, these are designed to have you think so that you can begin to build your skills. How would your leadership change if you recovered emotionally faster instead of avoiding discomfort altogether? How would your leadership change if you recovered emotionally faster instead of avoiding discomfort altogether or going down a negative pathway? There's likely to be things like more resilience, more positive outcomes. You'll see and learn the lessons that are there for you. So I hope that you take the time to really think on those reflection questions. Often they're most powerful if you think on them, write something down, go away, come back later, think on them again, and do that over the space of a few days. You'll be amazed at the things that come through. So, as a summary, your emotional and your mental fitness impacts your leadership. There it is. But actually, you can learn emotional and mental fitness. So all is not lost. And next week, what we'll do is build on this session so that you've got another set of skills to be having a look at. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you've got questions or comments, pop them on the platform that you're watching this on. And if you're watching a replay, hashtag replay. It just is nice to be able to see the number of people who do it. Now, your emotional or your mental fitness is a really essential leadership intelligence component. It's a really important tool. And I weave this through everything I do. It's woven through today. It's woven through every other leadershipization. It's woven through my one-on-one and my small group and my team coaching. So if you'd like to have a conversation with me about how I might be able to help you to build your emotional fitness, your mental fitness, reach out. What we'll make sure that we do is put a link to a 30-minute call with me in the chat. Thank you so much. See you next week. Bye now.